Hey guys, I've got this white background today because I'm going to be plying with some brown yarn, and I wanted you to be able to see it okay with these indoor conditions. What I'm doing today is I've got a situation from time to time where maybe I'll start spinning a yarn at home on a spinning wheel, and then I take my fiber with me to work, but I spin some more of the same yarn on the wheel I have at work, or on the quill that I have on the wheel that I have at work. And if I don't pull my quill off when I'm at home and take it to work with me and spin on the same quill, what I end up with is part of that yarn on one quill and then part of that yarn on the other quill. And that's what I've got today. Now this quill I've got full, and I'm wanting to apply it with these two that I did. I think this one I did at work, this one I did at home. I get a lot less time to spin at home, as you can tell, than I do at work. But what I want to do is combine these two smaller ones and then be able to apply it with the bigger one. What I'll do is I will put the larger amount on this wheel. Gotta say which way I want to. Okay, yeah. These quills, because they're wrapped, work kind of like Chinese handcuffs, and if you turn them in the opposite direction of which they were wrapped on, they loosen up and they slide on quite a bit easier. Okay, so now that I have that on there, I'll just feed off of this Lazy Kate to finish winding onto that. Now what I have to do is merge the two yarns here, which isn't a problem. I've got plenty of fluffy material on the end of the yarn that I've got on the wheel, and I will just merge that with the tip of the yarn that I'm bringing off the Lazy Kate, and I should be able to spin them in nice together and do a good join. And then once that's thoroughly joined, I really should just be able to just wind on as if I was actually spinning this yarn new. And that's what's going on here. I don't know how well this is showing up with my arm in the way, but I'm taking it off of this quill down below that's on the Lazy Kate, and I am just winding it on the quill that I've already stuck on the wheel. And if you notice that that quill isn't very big on my spindle for this wheel is actually my plying wheel, so it's got a really long spindle on it. It's the Dodex version of a high capacity bobbin. This is really coming off pretty quick. Again, I'm hoping that you're able to see. Oh, okay, so now I had a break. That shouldn't be a problem, because I should be able to just hold this together and add some twist. And if I pull back along here, that should be a really solid join. And now I should be able to continue to wind on. The problem I'm getting to is I'm really kind of at the end of the quill that's on the Lazy Kate, and so it's really running out fast, but this quill up here, the cop is so thick that it's trying to pull it off at an extreme rate. And down there, it's really adding a lot of drag because it's getting so low. Okay, so now we've pulled all of that off of the smaller quill and merged it with that medium quill. Now the medium quill is the same size as the big quill. So we are able at this point to take off the big quill and go ahead and put it on the lazy Kate. And I always want to put it on the lazy Kate where it unwinds to the outside because of the way I have my brakes set up on my lazy Kate. They're just a couple of dowel rods here. And what I do is I bring it in the inside dowel rod and around the outside dowel rod. And I do that on both sides. And what that does is it creates just enough drag to keep tension on my yarn while I'm pulling off of both quills. Alright. And so right here at the beginning, I just want to kind of wrap these around, draft out here so that I can get a starter yarn. And then once I got a good amount of twist in that starter yarn, I just pull it off, move it to the back of the spindle, wrap it around itself, and I should be off and running. Now it's just a normal order of plying yarn. Is everybody having a good rock day? This podcast comes out on the 7th of December, 2015, and the 7th of January, and the 7th of January is Rock Day, which is really the only day of the year that we celebrate spinners. So I hope everybody's with their wheel today and having a good time and getting a lot of spinning in. I know I am going to be spinning all day. I'm actually shooting this the night before, but I'll definitely be taking my hand cards and my wool to work and spinning both breaks and all of lunch. And I actually have a new high-speed spindle on my wheel that I'm using at work. It's running at a 13-to-1 ratio. It's not terribly high speed, although if I had it mounted on the dough deck, it actually is running at a 15.5 ratio to 1. So that's a pretty good rate for spinning most stuff. It's almost too fast for a good long draw because your twist is traveling so fast that it's hard to draft back off of it without the twist traveling into the fiber you're holding in your hand. So I kind of like a slower ratio or a lower ratio when I'm doing a true long draw so that I have time to move the fiber back off of the twisted area before the twist actually follows up and into what I'm thinning. It can be done, but you need good fiber prep if you're going to do that. It needs to be kind of a lofty fiber preparation that you have in your hand so that you can draft quickly. This is a really nice yarn. People at work were Googling over it. Alright, I've got a rat tail here, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to run clockwise, and it's going to take out this twist that I've just added. Now that's not going to do all the work for me. Once I get to about neutral, I'm going to have to actually go through and pull this apart so that I can get to that rat tail. It's not ideal, but it's a good thing that I at least got to show you. See, now once I got past that rat tail, just pulling on it pulled it out. That's not always going to be the case, but now I realign and I can add that twist back in. So, I'm glad that that happened so that I could show how I deal with that. Usually you're not going to catch the rat tail. When it happens, you'll see it later, and it's usually a little too late to deal with things of that nature once it's wound on and whatnot. But that one was one that was close enough we could get to. So that was good. And now I'm actually back to where I was before we had the rat tail. So the way these spindles work, and to a lesser degree the way that flyer wheels work as well, is the further you get from the support in the back, the less weight you want on it. That's why when you see your bobbins, the back of the bobbin usually has a larger circumference than the part at the front, because they're trying to encourage you to load it heavier towards the back. That's also the case with a quill wheel. You'll want to load it evenly for a long time, but as it gets thicker, you'll want to keep the thicker part towards the back and kind of tapering down to the front, because that way most of your weight that is on the cop is backed by the structure that's actually supporting that spindle, and it'll help make it more stable and whatnot. That is why your flyers can't be as long as, like, say, a spindle can be. You can have a really long spindle without worrying about it too much. With a flyer, you only want to go out so far, because not only is it supporting that bobbin that you've got on there, but all the yarn that you're putting on there, plus the flyer that you have out there, and the spinning and leverage of that flyer. So that's a bit limiting in the respect of, how long you can make that bobbin, which is why to get a high capacity bobbin, you have to have a thicker area to load yarn onto, because it's not really a good idea to go with longer due to constraints of leverage and whatnot. And then the funny thing about thickness in spindle wheels or in flyer wheels, the same, is that as you get your cob thick, you don't want it to become thicker than your pulley, because when this becomes thicker, the leverage that you're pulling against the cob is actually greater than the leverage that's being put on the pulley. Now, a lot of makers will compensate for that by having a grippy drive band, or a high tensioned drive band, so that the grip against the drive band maybe, hopefully, is better than the grip that you're putting against the flyer and on the fiber. But if you can keep the pulley larger than the size of the cob, you don't have to worry about that to begin with. Then the belt has more grip on it than the yarn has against the spinning flyer or the spinning spindle. So that's something to keep in mind. But if you've got a flyer wheel that has an extra large flyer and bobbin attachment that you have for it, it's not a good idea to leave that extra large on there even when you're spinning small quantities. You should really put that extra large attachment on there only when you're needing to handle extra large quantities, because the rest of the time the smaller attachment is going to function a lot better and within stiffer parameters, because it doesn't put as much strain on the supports, and it'll keep the leverage point closer to the fulcrum. You should notice a difference if you just try it, spinning 2 ounces on a extra bulky and spinning 2 ounces on a normal flyer bobbin setup. You should really be able to see a difference in how the wheel functions, because of the way mechanically it is being strained by the larger setup. Same deal with the spindle wheel, though. I wouldn't leave a large spindle on your wheel all the time. I would put a large spindle on when you need it to use it, or I would only have a large spindle on a second wheel that you were only using for plying. But I wouldn't be spinning my normal cobs on a wheel with a spindle this big, just because it can handle up to. Well, you know what? I want to get my stuff ready to go for tomorrow, and maybe get a couple different projects in my bag so that I'm ready to spin all day and talk to people about what's going on and how I'm celebrating Rock Day. So I'm probably going to cut this a little short. I think it was just going to be more of this, and I'm not even halfway through the yarn that I have to ply yet, so it would take me a little bit of time to get all of this on the spindle. But it's coming off nicely, and it's making a good solid yarn. I'm really liking the color and the texture, and I think that'll work out. But it was nice to be able to consolidate those 2 quills before then mounting on the Lazy Kate and spinning off. So I hope you liked it. I hope you're celebrating Rock Day, and yeah, good luck.